Good morning all. Today's topic of discussion is HDL design. This is the first unit of the course VLSI Design and Technology. The expected outcome of this particular unit is after successful completion of this particular unit, students will be able to develop effective HDL code for digital design. And this particular course outcome is mapped with different POs like PO 1, 2, 3, 5, 12 and then PSO 1 and PSO 2. This unit includes the different subtopics such as design flow, language constructs, data objects, data types, entity, architecture, types of modeling, sequential statements, concurrent statements, packages, subprograms, attributes, HDL modeling of combinational sequential circuits and FSM, simulation, synthesis, efficient coding styles, hierarchical and flat designs, partitioning for synthesis, pipelining and resource sharing. For this particular unit, we need to have the basic engineering principles. So this is mapped with PO1. We have to analyze the VLSI system design issues, hence it is mapped with PO2. The design of VHDL based on system for vending machine, lift controller, traffic light controller are to be studied. So the design and development is involved, hence it is also mapped with PO3. As we will be using the different modern tools for this functional and timing simulation of real-life systems, it is also mapped with PO5. With changes in technology scale, upgradation of the design is a continuous process, hence it is also mapped with the PO lifelong learning, that is PO12. It is also mapped with the PSOs because it involves the analysis of electronic system and the design using HDL coding, and also implementation of functional blocks of electronic system using VHDL and FPGA. So in this HDL design, this is the part 1 lecture, and the objective of this lecture is to make the students familiarize with VLSI technology and its design flow. What is VLSI? It is the sub branch of microelectronics. So microelectronics is the art, science and technology of design and fabricating the integrated circuits with the small dimension electronic devices. So microelectronics deals with the small devices which are having the dimensions of micrometers. But nowadays the devices are fabricated with the dimensions of nanometers also. So that is the nanoelectronics. So this area of microelectronics are nothing but VLSI design, VLSI CAD tools, technology and fabrication, the physics involved in that, modeling and simulation, characterization, testing. So nearly all the advances in the modern day electronic system and devices are the direct outcome of VLSI technology. So whatever progress you can see in this electronics field, everything involves VLSI. So this VLSI technology is very important from that point of view. So what is the direct outcome of this VLSI technology? That is nothing but the integrated circuits which we are using day to day. So why we should go for these ICs or the integrated circuits? The integrated circuits improves size, speed and power. These are the improvements. So size, day by day we want these devices with small size, we want faster speed and we want to have the power requirement as less as possible. Like for your mobile phones, we want a device which is a very handy device. The slick phone we require, the speed should be very high. So as soon as we touch some icon, it should operate. And the battery of the device we need to last for more than a day or two. So power requirement is also reduced. So all these things are nothing but the outcome of ICs. So because of the IC technology only it is possible to have all these improvements in the performance. So integration also reduces the manufacturing cost, and there is no manual assembly required because of this IC technology. So how this IC evolution take place? So somewhere in your second year or like that, you must have come across these terms, that is SSI, MSI, LSI. So what is this SSI? That is the IC technology which involves only small number of transistors, that is only 1 to 20. And the examples of these SSI are the 7-4 series ICs, that is AND OR gate, which you have studied in your second year. Then the next technology upgradation was in 1970s, and that is the MSI. The number of transistors has increased from 1 to 20 to around 100 to 1000. And then in the next decade, we entered into the technology LSI, that is the large scale integration. And there the number of transistors on a chip are around 10,000 to 1 lakh. And the example of this is your microprocessor 8085. And then in the next decade, we entered into the technology that is VLSI, that is very large scale integration technology, in which the number of transistors are increasing day by day. The number is definitely greater than 1 lakh, but there is no higher limit for this technology. As the technology scale is reducing day by day, the number of transistors that we can compact on a small single chip is also increasing day by day. And the examples are your microcontrollers, system on chip, the different CPLDs and FPGA devices. So how this evolution of IC take place? From the number of transistor point of view, already we have seen. From the device point of view, we can classify this manufacturing of the ICs in two parts, that is the standard components and the application specific ICs. The standard components, already you have used all these components like the fixed application and the different logic families like your TTL or CMOS families, which are having the ICs like 74XX series and 54XX series. Then there are some hardware programming devices like PLA and ROM, which are programmable, but these are the standard components and which are programmable. The other is the devices, another category is the category in which we can have the software programming, that is microprocessor, your EEPROM, E2PROM and the different PLDs, that is the programmable logic devices. So these are software programming devices, and the PLA ROM are the hardware programming devices. So once during the fabrication process, these are programmed, the program cannot be changed, whereas in the second category we can change the program at any time through the different programmers. And the second category is application specific ICs, like the controller IC for your washing machine or a controller IC for your microwave oven. All these are application specific ICs. So these are developed as per the requirement of a particular application. That's why the name is application specific ICs. These ICs may be semi-custom, full custom or silicon compilation. Semi-custom means some part of the IC will be readily fabricated, just we can program it through software, and the rest of the hardware is programmable hardware. Full custom means each and every part of that chip is designed by the particular designer, like the small transistors of which the ICs are made up of. From that transistor level itself the design is done. Those are called as the application specific ICs, which are full custom. Now what is the basic unit of this IC technology, of which it is made up of? The ICs are made up of the CMOS transistors. So you must have come across this term CMOS. What is the long form? The long form is complementary MOS technology, that is the metal oxide semiconductor technology. And the complementary name is there because it is having both type of MOSFETs, like P MOSFET as well as the N MOSFET. So whatever number of P MOSFETs are present on the chip, exactly same number of N MOSFETs will also be present on the same chip. And that's why the technology name is CMOS technology or the CMOS transistors. So here we can see the two types of transistors, or we can say the MOSFETs, that is P MOSFET and N MOSFET. And using these, the chips are fabricated. So this is the basic unit of any chip. So all the chips are made up of these P MOSFETs and N MOSFET. Now this P MOSFET and N MOSFET, you can see the channel and this L, capital L and this capital W, some notifications are shown over here. This WL, these are the dimensions of the width and length of the MOSFET, and this W and L decides the technology scale. So day by day this W and L are reducing, and that indicates there is a reduction in size of a MOSFET. So here it is shown that in 2002 the length of this MOSFET was around 130 nanometer. In 2003 the length reduced to around 90 nanometer. 2005 the length still further reduced to 65 nanometer. And now in 2020 the length is very small, it is around 0.2 nanometers. So we have reduced the size of the transistor to that much small level. So this is called as the technology scaling. So technology scale is reducing day by day. So how these ICs are made? So you must be curious about that, how the ICs are fabricated or how they are made. So before going to this into the details of this IC fabrication, we'll see some terms which are the important terms. That is the very large scale integration. This term already we have seen. So when millions of transistors are accommodated on a single chip, it is called as the very large scale integration. Integrated circuits, that already you know. Then the wafer. Wafer is a thin slice of semiconductor material on which semiconductor devices are made, and that is also called as a slice or a substrate. Chip is a small piece of semiconductor material upon which miniaturized electronic circuits can be built. And there is one more term, that is die. It is an individual circuit or a subsystem, that is one of the several identical chips that are produced after dicing up a wafer. So on a single wafer of silicon, there are multiple similar individual subcircuits designed and formed. So that is called as a die. So for making the multiple copies, this die is prepared. So if you know all these terms, then people will think that you are the expert VLSI engineer. Okay. So now we'll see a small video which shows the process of this IC fabrication.